There's something you said about inheritance. Yes, there's this person who has to save a lot, ama who earns a little, anaona ini kidogo sana. I have to save. But there's this other person. Now, I feel like I've been to situations where I've had friends who are like, this thing of land, I better buy just a little bit badai. I don't want to start early and then I culminate a lot of land and a lot of property. Alafu niachia watu nimewasha moto. How do you manage to manage generational wealth? For example, sana kitu kama inheritance. People are killing each other because of it. So, kwanza hapa Kenya, how do you manage, for example, ukiachiwa land kubwa?
Yeah.
How do you?
Man, that's a tricky one. I'm trying to learn about that myself, because if I do what I'm supposed to, I'll be leaving my kids something. How do I keep them from fighting and the stories we read about in the papers? That's a tough one. I think it comes, which is why my primary goal is when they're 12, 13, uko, they are educated enough by myself that they're thinking about ownership on their own.
Yes,
I think
it's not necessarily
not necessarily waiting for you.
Right,
that's true.
It's not waiting for me to croak so that they can get what I've built.
Let me keep
That's an
guessing.
added addition.
You're not sure whether I'm going to leave it for you. So you better work you
totally.
off.
I mean, I have a friend, actually, we have a common friend, we won't mention names, but she apparently told her kids, my money is my money, I'm going to blow it. Between now and when I die, you guys ain't getting nothing. So get busy about getting yours. I mean, I'll pay for your education.
Yeah, I'll give you.
I'll spend on our experiences together as a family. But I'm living large. I'm gonna enjoy life.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna blow my own.
I'm gonna blow my money. Yeah. First time she said that, I thought, man, that's so cruel. But there's so much wisdom in that. Personally, I don't think she's actually going to do that.
Yeah.
But the point is, her children are not waiting for her to die or trying to kill her.
Or not doing anything and then
waiting
so
for that
time.
they can access whatever she's built over time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first issue. Just educate your kids. Get them started early. It's never too early. Whenever I can, I have conversations with my kids. Sometimes they're curious, Baba, what's that you're signing? Or this is a sale agreement. What is a sale agreement? Yeah, and even if it's over their heads, I'm sowing seeds, and later on, it'll be easier for them to understand. So I think that's the first issue, and then of course there's
A will.
There's wills, there's
the
trusts,
legal way to go.
legal structures that you have to put in place early enough. It's like insurance. Don't wait, do it now. Do it now, and because if you get raptured to heaven before the rest of us,
Then.
yeah, if you didn't have stuff in place, that's when guys start fighting.
Yeah.
Demystify to us, for us, this land notion, because it's either we demystify to jue vizuri, because umesema hii kitu ni specific to Kenyans, sindio? Kenyans love land. Nichukua quarter.
Uniquely, yes.
Uniquely, not specific.
50 by 100.
Yeah. Nichukua quarter pale, nichukua. I would like us to demystify that nut. What's that notion that, how can we go around that? Because I feel that kukimbilia ka 50 by 100 every time, hiyo ndo watu wanapata fraud haraka. So maybe ni our mentality towards land ownership. How can people go around that? Because mimi naona hiyo inakunga shida kubwa sana. Kila mtu ameambiwa ukifika hii age upate 50 by 100. Lazima own na ikuwe ni yako, unajua?
Yeah.
So nasema kitu. Nimeangalia kuna msanii kwa medai juzi, there's a guy who passed away in the news. A very rich guy. John Kilima.
Ule jamaa ni mkale.
just see juicy lakini Kirima, you know the guy who died?
Yes, a few years ago.
Few years ago.
Yeah.
And
the late
when they were showing his properties, that guy had everything from a building in the middle of the city to a house in Kayole. So what I think I'm trying to say is like, even the 50 by 100 is a start, but you have to make it a culture to consistently just be putting some money away for land, because you know Solo told me this in Solo's words. There's 7 billion people growing. We're going to be 15 billion the next like maybe 10 years.
By the day we're
growing.
So let's make it like
but there's only a finite amount of land.
Yeah, land does not grow.
So you just have to get yours.
It's reduced.
Yeah. Actually, the statistic, interestingly, I learned this from Steve Harvey on one of his shows. And he said it was this realization that got him started in his own land buying journey. And he owns like 300 acres of land now in total.
Okay.
And he said he did the math one day and he sat down and he said, for the Earth's population now and the amount of land.
Land must we have, but most of it is water.
Yes. He says there's less than 6 acres of land for every human being on the planet.
I watched this. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you watched that.
Yeah.
Less than
I mean, that hits you hard.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
If every human being on the planet gets a piece of the earth,
Yeah.
we all get less than 6 acres.
Yeah.
Now, I know guys who are sitting on
10,000.
So someone's going without, right?
Yeah.
So basic laws of economics demand that it's a diminishing commodity, and that means its value will consistently go up over time. So get yours now.
Land that depreciates in the world, like.
I mean, there's instances, you know, where there's depreciation or values go down, like in the 2008 situation, markets like New York, London, property prices crashed. That does happen from time to time. But if you look at the trajectory of human existence, it's always going to be more expensive. Yeah, so I mean, that's a view I take. Play the long game, like Warren Buffett says. Take a long view on your investments and you will generally do fine. There'll be dips along the way here and there, maybe. In Kenya, that's never happened with land since independence. Not to say that it'll never happen, but if you take the long view, it's always going to be more expensive later, which makes it a viable investment.
Safer than Bitcoin or Dogecoin or all these coins. The bus wakes up in a bad mood.
Well, it's a hard, immovable asset. It's there. It's fixed to the core, to the Earth's core, right? So it's not going any unless some asteroid blows us off. You know,
people start existing. People start
Space,
existing in the air.
Right. So that in itself, I think, should be compelling enough for people to realize I need to own some land, a piece of land. So why it's popular with Kenyans specifically, you know, I think generally there's history behind that. Our colonial past.
Nice.
Why I say it's historical injustices. I find we don't spend enough time talking about that. And there was a time I was watching something in the news about one of Kenya's wealthiest families and how much land they own. And generally people get bitter about it. Waliba. And then I remember something a friend of mine once said. He said, you know, the only reason you're complaining about it is because you're not the one who owns it. So get busy about owning yours instead of wasting time complaining about others owning. Because that generally changes your perspective on the ownership. Number one. Number two, it's better to be busy about getting, even if it's your 50 by 100, than complaining about other people owning thousands. It doesn't help you. Right. Yeah, it doesn't do anything to them. But I think it's important that we understand the history in Kenya. In a summarized version, if I may, it's our grandparents had no borders. Their parents had no borders. Africa was borderless. People traded with each other across the continent, married, raided each other, whatever. Yeah, chiefdoms, kingdoms, whatever, clans. And then the colonizers showed up and decided to carve up our and create these artificial borders. And then in Kenya particularly, I find the Kikuyu community was the worst affected because they lost most of their ancestral lands, probably because they occupied the most desirable agricultural zones.
White highlands.
Which they, I mean, like, what kind of crap is that, white highlands? There's nothing white about them. Or maybe green highlands.
Green highlands.
But these were ancestral African spaces. And before the Kikuyus were there was someone else, probably the Maasai. Before the Maasais, there was someone else. I mean, if you go all the way back in history, who knows who owned it first? Right? So, but if we're going to talk about, you know, our recent history, the Kikuyus were the most affected. They lost most of their ancestral lands. We have independence in 1963, and what should have happened, I believe, was, yes, all the land was now given to the new government of Kenya from the Queen, because before that it was the Queen's personal property. She gives it to the government. The government was supposed to resettle its indigenous peoples as they were, but we all know what happened. What happened was people were given land where they shouldn't have been given land. And then those who should have gotten it were left hanging. And as it turns out, the Kikuyu, for whatever reason, multiplied faster than the rest of us. So they're the biggest population, the most affected as far as landlessness is concerned. And our parents' generation, because I've seen it with my mom, who's Kamba, as soon as she had a job and some disposable income, she was busy buying where she could. Because the idea was, we lost land to the white man.
Now we need to reclaim.
We need to get back.
Get back on the ownership.
And since our ancestral lands were not given back to us, we buy wherever we can. And that's created this economic situation where you have more demand than you have supply. And that shoots prices up. And then, you know, as guys grow up watching that, and by the time you have your own chums, for you it's just second nature. It's what you do as a responsible person. As soon as you have a job, not understanding the historical context. And therefore this whole 50 by 100 phenomenon, because it makes the land affordable. The small units are affordable, which I get, and that's important. And there's nothing wrong with buying 50 by 100s. Just make sure it's legit.